So I want to do a tribute for Frank Costanza. Frank Costanza, Jerry Stiller, right? Also known as Jerry Stiller. Jerry Stiller's full name is actually Gerald Isaac Stiller, and Gerald had died May 11th, 2020, 5 days ago. Jerry's wife, Ann Mira, had died 5 years ago in 2015. Apparently, according to Ben Stiller's Twitter, Frank Costanza, Jerry Stiller, Arthur Spooner died of natural causes. So this is not COVID-19. This is not SARS-2. So Jerry Stiller was fantastic. They said the people closest to him didn't really know him, but his audiences knew him the best. Jerry Stiller was an absolute screen stealer. Every time he was on Seinfeld or on King of Queens, all eyes on Frank Costanza, Jerry Stiller, Arthur Spooner. He got one Emmy nomination for his work on Seinfeld, so Jerry Stiller isn't without any accolades. But ultimately, he won the people over. And isn't that the best accolade of all? Jerry Stiller is the father of Ben Stiller. Jerry Stiller is Jewish of Austrian and Polish descent. So he's got German lineage, Jewish religion. Jerry Stiller loved the New York Knicks. He loved basketball. Jerry Stiller, it's probably the writers, but he introduced Festivus. Festivus, a holiday for the rest of us. Every Christmas, I don't celebrate Christmas, so I celebrate some alternative version. So I've been celebrating a kind of Festivus for the last 20 years. Jerry Stiller says, Festivus, right? I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about them. There's the grievances, the place where they just complain about everybody. So very, very super progressive, right? A Festivus for the rest of us. Ultimately, what's the heart and soul? What is the spirit of Jerry Stiller? He just wanted to make us laugh. That's all. He loved making us laugh, and we loved laughing with him, at him. He was just funny. Ben Stiller said he was naturally funny. And I think that's it. I think he absolutely encapsulates what Jerry Stiller was. He was naturally funny. Every time he come up on the screen, you just want to start laughing automatically. Jerry Stiller was born June 8th, 1927 in Brooklyn, New York. Jerry Stiller was actually on the Ed Sullivan Show. So Jerry Stiller has been a part of the American fabric for decades. Now, Jerry Stiller's Frank Costanza. Frank Costanza explains George Costanza perfectly. George is weird, awkward, and neurotic, whereas Jerry Stiller's Frank Costanza is over the top, hot-headed, and outlandish. The Costanza name, where did that come from? It's an Italian name, and yet they're Jewish. Jerry Stiller, he said that they were Costanzas because they were Jews in the Witness Protection Program. Frank Costanza said Elaine is, what's the word? Oh, supercilious. Supercilious is behaving or looking as though one thinks one is superior to others. Elaine is, supercilious. Jerry Stiller turned Seinfeld down. At first, he turned the role down. He didn't show up until the 5th season, and he was only in 30 episodes out of 150. So it just shows you the tour de force that Jerry Stiller was for Seinfeld. When they went back to syndication, Seinfeld actually retaped all those other episodes that had George's father as the last actor. So they put Jerry Stiller in to, essentially race the last actor and make Jerry Stiller George's father for eternity. Seinfeld said he never readjusted any of Jerry Stiller's performances. Basically, for Jerry Seinfeld, if it's funny, then it's working. If it's working, you keep it. Jerry Stiller needed the work. So that's why eventually Jerry Stiller went back and agreed to work on Seinfeld. He needed the work. Capitalism. He needed the money. Serenity now! Serenity now! So you had Jerry Stiller and Kramer came up with the blower, the man's ear. Get some support for men with man boobs. Festivus, man's ear. Listen to how progressive this is. They try to stay apolitical, but is that even possible? Probably. Some nameless writers on the Seinfeld show came up with most of, Jerry Stiller's stuff and also King of Queens. Probably the writers, right? But Jerry Stiller performed them so well. It was just a treat. He was a natural comic. He was a natural just talent. And like Will Ferrell, you just know he's going to be funny every time. As soon as you see Will Ferrell, he's going to do his little goofy looks and characters, and you're going to laugh. You're going to enjoy yourself. Ben Stiller, he said of his father, he was in Zoolander. So Jerry Stiller was in Zoolander with Ben Stiller. He said he's the most naturally funny man in the world. The most naturally funny man. That's perfect. Jerry and his wife were a comedy duo. And Mira, they ended their act, though, in 1970 because they didn't know where their act ended and their marriage began. And Jerry Stiller, he said that if his performance as an actor was dependent on her, then he would have lost a wife. Jerry Stiller always gave money to panhandling. Jerry Stiller asked a man for a nickel when he was young, and that man said, "No, get away from me, you bum." He just needed a ride. He wasn't homeless or, actually just begging for money. He just needed a ride, but that stuck with him, so he gives money to the homeless. Jerry Stiller said about Kramer that Kramer had a mercurial mind and a weightless body. So he's coming up with blow in the man's ear. And then Jerry Stiller, he says, he told everybody how he got his wife. He stopped short. Stop short. Stop short. So, yeah, he was absolutely hilarious. Just absolute treat. Jerry Stiller is hilarious in The King of Queens as Arthur Spooner as a stepfather living in the basement. Jerry Stiller would find a nickel on the table and be like, oh, and then just keep it. You had 5, Arthur Spooner says, I got 4 words for you. Screw you. And it's like, oh, that's 2 words. Okay, well, I got 2 words for you. I'm staying right here. It's like, well, shit, you're really locked in whenever you say, you got so many words. You're really locked in with that. They gave Arthur Spooner a gift. Here's a watch, Arthur Spooner. And he looked at it, and he didn't like it. He's like, well, you did your best. He was 75 years old. He wakes up, and he says that he still has his little guy saluting him. This is all in The King of Queens. He said, you need to call a nice local eatery, Domino's. Domino's, you mean Domino's? And then they were sitting there yelling. The carrier's trying to study, and you had, the Kevin James and Jerry Stiller yelling in the house. He's like, I'm busy. He's like, you're dizzy? No, I'm busy. I can't come down. We'll come down anyways and just hold on to the rail. I can't get the naked channel. We don't get the naked channel. Why not? I don't know. So you're busy. No, you're dizzy? Well, just hold on to the rail. Charlie Brown was based on Jerry Stiller's life. This is Arthur Spooner. Arthur Spooner, this is what he's claiming. He's got a lawsuit. He's like, look at my last name, Arthur Spooner. Spooner, Snoopy. I'm not crazy, huh? So what's going on, buddy? As soon as Arthur Spooner goes into the house, you had Doug, Kevin James say, hey, what's going on, buddy? And Jerry Stiller immediately just says, hey, get a hold of yourself. Get a hold of yourself. What's going on, buddy? Hey, chill out, man. Get a hold of yourself. Oh, why don't you hang out with us? I got to catch my jag. From Sal's? You're calling a pizza place from Sal's? Are you out of your mind? Why don't you just call a little neighborhood joint called Domino's? And then there was law firms, some lawyers called him, and he told Doug. Doug was like, hey, Arthur, you got a phone call here. It's the lawyers. Well, tell them to drop dead. I'm not going to tell them to drop dead. Well, tell them to go to hell. I'm not going to tell them to go to hell. Then you go to hell. He saw a pumpkin in the kitchen table, and he smashes it, and he says, Halloween is forbidden. When Carrie is blind, he's like, no, you got to, tough love. Don't help her. She's like, where's the phone? Don't help her out. She's, tough love. When he was giving the phone number to Domino's out, he was like, first 1-167-4934. And he was like, why don't you get some cadence? And he goes, okay, 1-6-10. When giving the phone number to Domino's. So he said of the King of Queens, Jerry Stiller did that. It really helped his acting abilities. And he said his acting abilities wasn't very good until the King of Queens. So Jerry Stiller was in the airport in 1975. He was in the 1988 movie Hairspray. He was in Nike commercials as the ghost of Vin Lombardi in the 1990s. Jerry Stiller wrote a foreword to the 2005 book Festivus, The Holiday for the Rest of Us by Alan Salkin in 2007. Jerry Stiller, his wife Ann Mira, received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So he's popular. He's notorious. I'd say everybody knows Jerry Stiller. He's hilarious, and he was funny. And that's, he's a natural comic, just like Ben Stiller said. The soul of Jerry Stiller was that he wanted us to laugh. He wanted us to have a good time, and he was good at it. He was good at making us laugh. And for that, Jerry Stiller will live forever. So, 11/24, Southern Colorado, Saturday, May 16th, 2020. John Masters, peace.